listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
Estàs escoltant el teu cervell en directe. El programa començarà en breu. Gaudeix-ne.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I'm your host, Ollie Vogt Larson, and I'm just going to say it so no one else has to. Maybe Mark David Chapman had a point, because there was no bigger phony in the world in the 1970s, 60s, and then I guess technically the 80s, because he just survived till December of 80, than John Lennon. He was the biggest phony in the world. I'm not saying he deserved to die, but I'm saying maybe Mark David Chapman had a point. Listen, John Lennon was a symbol against, against a lot of things like oppression of people, whatever. But he was a symbol of truly of everything that he hated. Capitalism. Let's be really honest. Losing the Big Bopper, Richie Valens, and Buddy Holly in one go was way more tragic. But for some odd reason, one hippie at the start of the 80s dies, and everybody, for some reason, is able to remember that incident a lot more. You mentioned the day the music died. Kids' eyes roll in the back of their head these days. For some reason, I just think that it's too much emphasis on one guy. I understand. No, did anybody really roll their eyes when George Harrison died? Hassa, as they call him, I think, because they shorten everything in Liverpool. I forget exactly what Paul McCartney said in that interview. But folks, I'm going to probably die in a plane accident in Clear Lake, Iowa, with like 2 or 3 other upcoming podcasters. It'll be the day the misogyny died. Ollie Vogt Larson, Andrew Tate, maybe Ben Azulai, we'll throw him in there. We'll plow into a mountain or a cornfield. Suddenly there will be no one to call women out on their shit anymore. We're just having fun, guys. It's Fun Guy Friday. Mark David Chapman Friday. Folks, if I die young, remember me for wanting to just get a giggle out of you. Just wanting to lighten the images of war, the horror that we see every day on our timeline. Like, folks, my life goal forever and always will be to lighten and to brighten. To bring levity even, I could say, to the most sacred and tragic of things. That is my life. That is the purpose. Whatever you believe put us here, put me here to do that. Folks, happy Friday. Hail Saturn. Happy Sabbath to the Jewesses tomorrow. Folks, their Sabbath is not on Sunday like the Christians. It's on Saturday. Do you know where Saturday gets its name? It is Saturn's Day. In Latin, Saturni Dies, I believe. Folks, if they do not worship Saturn or the Black Cube, maybe they shouldn't make it so obvious. I mean, guys, it's Friday. Let's just have some fun. Honestly, let's have some fun. Let's tell some truths and let's get around the fire like campfire style. We're bringing it back to the 90s. We're throwing sand into the fire, and then we're going, this is the tale of the Anunnaki. Michael Jackson attended ceremonies to open up the consciousness portals to commune with the Anunnaki. Woo! Mama say, mama sa, mama kusa. That's what they were doing. Folks, the elite are sacrificing children on the stone altars to draw oceans of blood for the spirits. They believe that these rituals, those blood orgies, are the only way to ascend their minds from their monkey bodies. They want to flee the earth that they are poisoning. They think the only way to save themselves is to kill your children, guys. The Jews, Christians, Muslims, blacks, whites, they're all doing it. It's only the richest among them that are able to do it. The Jews are just the best at it because they have the highest IQs. And that's a praise. That is a praise along with the truth. And you all pray to avoid hell. Folks, we're already in hell. We're all terrified. We're all scared. And that's all they want. All they want is the blood to be purified with the essence of fear, adrenochrome. This will allow them to continue servicing Lucifer for another 20 to 30 years on average. Did you see Dianne Feinstein? Man, the skin was falling off of her at one point. Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, AOC, Ted Cruz, Mike Huckabee, all these people, the Clintons. This is all alleged and it's a satirical show and we're having fun, but they've all engaged. You know what I mean? They've all made the 5-year-olds their basic Franzia box for the night, if you know what I'm talking about. It's literally they drink the blood, and I get it's unfortunate. I'm not saying that I'm happy about this, but it's what we're having to reckon with these Epstein Files drops, with reality hitting us all at once. Many people, they take the entire bottle of red pills. You got to do one a day, man. You got to space it out. You got to maybe get a little bit of truth about 9/11. You cannot go all the way in. You cannot learn about Saturn worship. You can't learn about 9/11. You can't learn about the truth behind symbols. The fact that the Church of the Catholic Church is trying to actually dismantle Christianity. They're actually in service of Lucifer. It breaks people's minds at these early stages of of kind of waking up to how crazy the world is. And guess what? We have malls, we have fast food, we have lottery, bars, alcohol, weed, sex clubs. It's all to keep us moving. It's all to stimulate your pleasure neurons just enough so that you guys do not ever look around eventually at the world around you and go, what the fuck is happening? We are all slaves. We are all governed but not protected. We are taxed but not represented. We are scared but not secure. Folks, it's like this everywhere. And in fact, in some places it's worse because there is no control. There's places like Somalia, and in the places where there's a different amounts of control, there's varying amounts of government presence in your life. They take like 50% of your income. Sure, you work at a windmill and you live in this nice little cottage, you live in North Sweden or something like that, in a town where sometimes you get like a month of daylight and a month of night. You know what I mean? These sorts of situations where, yeah, it's a nice situation, but the government is stealing from you at exorbitant rates, and they will persecute you if you say anything about the incoming wave of immigrants. And that's just a conversation that a lot of people don't really like to have, that the immigration fundamentally changed Sweden as a country. It's now one of the most dangerous countries in Europe. It's one of the most. Folks, I'm just going to be honest with you. Some places are only governed by the caribou that call them home. Some people, if your pipes freeze, you die. The government takes like 50% of your income. Folks, let's just light up a cig, pop an edible, enjoy the light joy that we are able to get from this grand old heap of stories around the grand old US of A. We're apparently the new owners of the Strait of Hormuz. Let's get into that, folks. Hell yeah, why not? Let's get into our very first story. What is it? What does the headline read? Iran announces that the Strait of Hormuz is open. Where do we go from here? What is the future looking like? What are we still even in war? I will break it down for you. Let's begin. The maritime standoff that we have been covering that has paralyzed the global energy markets for weeks has appeared to be entering a cooling phase this Friday, April 17th. Historic moment, ladies and gentlemen, as Iran officially declared the Strait of Hormuz is completely open to commercial traffic. This is great news. Foreign Minister Abbas I'm going to get it one day, guys. Aragachi, we're going to go with that. I know it sounds like Tamagotchi. I don't care. Announced that the merchant vessels are free to transit the vital choke point for the remainder of the current 10-day ceasefire period between Israel and Lebanon. We're going to cover that later. This is amazing. We're getting more news out of Israel and Lebanon. I think that we're not even close to Israel giving up the 7-front war that they claim to be in. You know what I mean? We are not even close to them losing the image for greater Israel that they are close to building. We're not even close to that ending. This is we're looking at a temporary point where things are like, okay, they're not actively getting worse. Tehran is requiring ships to flow to specific coordinated routes that managed by their maritime authorities to move the markers. A significant de-escalation, though, from earlier threats to expand the conflict to the Red Sea. That's great news. President Trump immediately celebrated the development on social media. He thanked Iran for reopening and calling it a major win for his maximum pressure strategy. Whatever. However, the president quickly clarified that the U.S. Navy blockade of Iran's ports remains in full force, while commercial tankers can now pass through the strait to reach each other's nations. The U.S. military is still intercepting and turning back any vessel attempting to enter or depart from Iranian docks. The White House maintains that its blockade will not be lifted until a final 100% complete peace deal is signed in Islamabad. I doubt we're going to see that until, let me project a little bit into the future. I don't know that we're dealing with a fully, I'm just going to say, I don't think that we've washed our hands. We have not Pontius Pilated ourselves, and neither have the Iranians. I think the Iranians, as a matter of fact, have a taste for revenge. And I'm not saying about the Iranian people. It's not Persians in general, but it is the Iranian regime that is in power. I believe that this guy, Mojtaba Khamenei, whenever he wakes up, if he ever wakes up, because obviously they will have another guy in a position to take over if he does die of that coma. We think that he's in a comatose state, at least according to intelligence. reopenments. We're going to get some more news about that later, but the reopening triggered an immediate reaction in the global economy. Brent crude prices sliding nearly 7% as the supply fears erased. Diplomatic breathing room is largely credited to feverish mediation by Pakistan. They're out there meditating in the mountains, whose military and civil leaders have spent at least 48 hours shuttling between regional capitals to salvage the peace process, with a second round of high-stakes talks expected to begin in Islamabad this Sunday, April 19th. I don't know, maybe we can we can see some sort of a peace deal signed, but otherwise, like I said, this is temporary. This is not anything where Israel will resume conflict in Lebanon. Mark my words. Negotiators are racing to turn this temporary maritime opening into a permanent end to the war before the current ceasefire expires next week. Let's get a little bit of official news. We got what's it called? NBC giving us the brief on it.
We've got some breaking news to bring you right now. The market's opening right now. The bell sounding to some good news out of the Middle East. Following that ceasefire agreement between Israel and Lebanon, now Iran's foreign minister has just announced the Strait of Hormuz is fully open for the duration of the truce. President Trump, later confirmed the news on social media, thanking Iran. That announcement already sending oil prices.
In my opinion, these guys are celebrating a little too hard. It's not an end of the war, all right? They're going to immediately probably resume taking over tankers or doing some level of bullshit to you guys after this ceasefire thing runs out of time.
Plummeting while U.S. stocks are now set to open.
Do you guys realize this is only 10 days where they said, okay, yeah, we need to reorganize our military for 10 days. We need a couple more days to realign our missiles, do all of these sorts of things. That's all they're doing during this peacetime.
Higher. Let's get right to NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley, who is in Tel Aviv, Israel. So, Matt, what are we learning about the Strait of Hormuz and these new developments this morning?
Well, Joe, I mean, in just the last hour, we seem to have got it from both sides. From the Iranians, Abbas Araghchi, he is the foreign minister of Iran, one of the people who has been circulating around the world trying to make Iran's case. He just came out and said that now the Strait of Hormuz is open to all traffic in line with that ceasefire. And then we heard shortly afterwards President Trump announcing the same thing on his Truth social media account. So it looks as though we are seeing a massive movement in what had been a critical impasse in the way of trying to not just impose this ceasefire between...
I'm never not going to be an optimist about things. As you all know, I'm a chronic optimist. If you're a listener to the show, you know that I just have this thing about me. I'm just cheery and I'm just light on everything. And I just have this take where I think humanity will always win and that things will always turn out right in the end. And I think that this... Folks, I think we're going to see Lebanese people, we're going to see the Egyptians, Saudi Arabians, the Iraqis maybe, throw the Iranians in, the Turkish, everybody that's had a beef with Israel, the Jordanians. We're going to throw in everybody, and then they're going to just have a big party. They're going to have a big party in Jerusalem. And then guess what? Palestine, the West Bank, and the Gaza Strip, as we know, we're going to build a big bridge over the big part of Israel that actually divides them. And that's how the Palestinians are going to be able to govern both of those territories, despite the fact that Israel runs between the two of them. We're going to build a big bridge. It's going to be called the Unity Bridge, and we're going to have like a nice opera house at the very center of that Unity Bridge. It's going to be a couple. By the way, how far is? I'm just going to look this up. How far is the West Bank from Gaza? About 33 to 50 kilometers, roughly 20 to 30 miles. So listen, this is going to be a long-ass bridge. This is going to take a lot of steel infrastructure. This is going to be, but listen, we're going to have an opera house in the center. It'll be called the Trump. It'll be called the, God damn it. I'm trying to think of something. Listen, guys, I know that you're going to go, whatever, you're coddling up to this administration. I'm trying to get this thing authentically funded within the next 4 years. And let's be honest, maybe 8. Maybe 8. We don't know.
The U.S. and Israel on one side and Iran on the other, but in trying to extend it further beyond its 2-week limit. So as we've been seeing talk about more talks in Pakistan to try to extend this ceasefire, to try to restore it. I mean, this is the thing, is that it was really hanging on by a thread. Now it looks as though, with the Strait open, with now the ceasefire in Lebanon, north of where I am here, it looks as though the ceasefire can proceed with all parties' agreement, and that is going to be crucial going forward.
I mean, listen, this is great news. It's great news for everybody, actually, because it was getting to the point where the economy was getting so impacted that that rich people and middle class people were feeling it, starting to feel it. You know what I mean? When poor people feel it, or broke asses. When broke asses feel it, it's kind of like, whatever. You know what I mean? They're always struggling in general. It's not our fault. It's just that, some people, they struggle. Some people struggle. It's unfortunate. I'm not endorsing it. I'm saying that's just what happens in this world. But when, the middle class start to feel it, then things start to get serious. When the lower middle class start to feel it, things can be okay. You know what I mean? Those people that live in one-story houses, no basement. You know what I mean? Just like a little mill house that somebody looks like they lived in because they live near a factory or something. Like those folks, when they're struggling, it's like, no big deal. We expect them to struggle here and there, especially when the economy is going up and down all the time. There are going to be weeks where those people can't afford to buy eggs. So what? But we're dealing with a situation that is starting to affect the middle class. We're dealing with people who buy Mary Kay, not because they are cripplingly in debt to Mary Kay, because it's a pyramid scheme. They do not buy more product to sell to people that will never end up buying it. That's just going to sit in their garage and rot. We're dealing with a generation of people where it's like these are Mary Kay purchasers. These are Macy's shoppers, Macy's backstage shoppers. Macy's is actually for high middle class people. Excuse you. There's a difference between high middle class and low high class. Low high class is they go to Burberry for their fragrances and their bags and shit like that. But I'm talking about high middle class. High middle class, they shop at Macy's. That is what high middle class does. They get those $84 sweaters and whatnot, and for some reason think that this is a reasonable purchase. We're dealing with a situation that's affecting these people just as much as it's affecting the broke asses. And if you don't believe me, the conflict in Iran is affecting your wallet. This coming out of CBS News. Our friend Barry Weiss, it's just a woman who looks like Barry Weiss. She is a friend to journalism. She is a friend to the truth. She is a friend to everything that this world needs right now.
The war is appearing to have an impact on many aspects of American life, from transportation to travel to food production.
Yay.
It's like driving a lot for very little money. It feels like giving like free rides.
Usually be about $500 for the round trip ticket. It was $1,000. We canceled the business trip.
Our liquid nitrogen that we run went up, $100, $150 a ton. So seeing, those huge increases right here at planting time really did kind of hit a lot of farmers hard, including us.
CBS News senior business and tech correspondent Joanne Ken joins us now. So how is the average U.S. consumer being impacted by the war when it comes to the cost of everyday goods?
Lindsay, you heard those folks there explaining how their individual lives have been impacted. And really, it's two things. It's inflation, which is up 3.3%. That's the first report we got. A look at how the Iran war is impacting overall that headline inflation number, the price that you're paying and how fast it's going up. The other thing to look at, of course, gas prices. I don't know how many times we've talked about this, but according to the latest CPI data, it's up more than 20% month to month. That's the fastest rise since 1967. Everyday items of how much more you might be
They meant to do that, absolutely.
paying. We actually don't see a major increase just yet, but we do anticipate...
Wait a minute, 67 is 33.5 times 2. 33, this is Freemason shit.
According to economic analysis, that we could see that gas price trickle down when it comes to transporting of your goods, and that could eventually hit grocery prices in the next inflation report.
So let's talk travel transportation. We heard about that guy in the airport saying it was usually a $500 ticket. Now it's $1,000. How are people reacting to increased fuel costs and these added surcharges?
Well, I just know anecdotally, so many people are telling us, both as we're interviewing folks for CBS News, as well as, in our friend groups, that people are delaying or canceling trips due to the cost of airfare. And part of the reason is they're starting to see not just the overall prices rise, but baggage fees are being jacked up by at least 4 airlines: JetBlue, Southwest, Delta, United, all raising their bag fees. Spirit Airlines may have to be forced to go into liquidation due in part to rising gas prices. We also saw flight fares overall jump 3.4%. And so that's not super significant yet when it comes to the inflation on that price overall. But what we're going to be focused on is what happens to people's psychology, that inflationary psychology, as they head into the summer when it's high driving season. Ideally, you want to get on a plane and go somewhere, perhaps for a family vacation.
Psychology is what matters.
How it impacts consumers. But you already feel that sort of crunch for people's budgets month to month, and now we're going to be seeing that when it comes to that discretionary spending.
Have to be quick with you, but diesel affects pretty much everything, right? Can you explain how interconnected everything is?
Yeah, basically diesel helps transport all the goods that you and I need at the grocery store and beyond. And so when that price spikes as it has, it is likely to impact prices. We also can't, forget the cost of fertilizer also going up. Those inputs really important for our farmers. You heard that farmer earlier talk about how that is driving up the cost of being able to grow and harvest items. So across the board, we expect to see in the coming month that data reflect the reality that so many of us are already feeling, whether it's at the checkout, especially at the gas pump, of course, Lindsay.
Okay.
Of course, Lindsay. Yeah, it's affecting everybody equally. Not equally. The rich are still able to travel wherever they'd like. But as we go, where do we go from here? The focus is shifting to upcoming Sunday summit. President Trump has signaled he may personally travel to Pakistan. Oh, I don't know. That might not be a great idea. That seems like an assassination attempt. To sign a final agreement if Tehran makes a necessary concessions regarding its nuclear program and maritime security. Maybe, fat chance. For the first time since the conflict began in February, we have a tangible sense of optimism, is what I'm trying to get across here. The blockade is still active. Tensions in southern Lebanon are remaining fragile. The world is remaining one misstep away from all of this stuff kind of going to shit. We have a lot of stuff to cover, and I don't want to stay in the dreariness of war. I want to get to the true crime shit that's going to make a lot of people very excited, because we may be getting justice. It's a maybe. Harvey from TMZ, for some reason, revealed that it might be the case that there's a massive problem in the persecution against this gentleman. But let's just get to it, ladies and gentlemen. Singer David was arrested in connection with the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The LAPD says, oh my goodness, they finally cracked the case after, how long was it? 5 months, I think? Let's just get into it. Go. The music world has been rocked this past Thursday, April 16th, as the Los Angeles Police Department announced that the arrest of 21-year-old singer-songwriter David Burke, better known to millions of fans as D4VD, or David. Detectives from the Robbery Homicide Division took the romantic homicide singer into custody at his home in the Hollywood Hills. Burke is currently being held without bail on suspicion of murder in the case that has horrified the public since the last fall of last year. Goddamn. The arrest is the culmination of a grueling 7-month investigation that began in September of 2025 when a gruesome discovery was made at a Hollywood impound lot. Workers reported a foul odor emanating from a Tesla Model Y that had been towed after being abandoned at a neighborhood for a street for several days. Inside a vehicle's trunk, investigators found the dismembered and severely decomposed remains of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a 14-year-old girl from Lake Elsinore who had been missing for over a year. The Tesla was registered in Burke's name. The authorities say the victim was likely in the vehicle for the entire period that it had been abandoned. Okay. While the LAPD had officially labeled Burke David the primary suspect, his legal team is firing back with a vigorous defense. In a statement released shortly after his arrest, his attorneys emphasized that no formal charges have been filed and no grand jury indictment has been returned yet. They maintain that the evidence will prove that David was not the cause of the teenager's death. However, prosecutors are expected to present, it is persecutors because they are persecuting a young black man misunderstood, and it's still all good. This is evil. To present their full case to the district attorney's major crimes division this Monday, where the final decision on formal murder charges will be made. The case has drawn massive attention, as we can expect, due to the high-profile nature of the singer. The disturbing details surrounding the victim. Reports are indicating that Burke and Hernandez may have known each other for a while through online platforms like Discord as early as 2022. As the legal process moves forward, the Withered singer, all these songs I don't know, who was in the middle of a world tour when the body was first discovered, remains behind bars. For the family of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, this arrest marks a somber milestone in a tragedy that has lingered since the first disappearance of the 13-year-old 7th grader. Let's take a look at this report. Let me be honest with you. Snail mail. I don't know what this is a case of. Laziness? This is, how did the internet have this figured out for months? Since it happened, quite frankly, September. You were not able to attain the ability to arrest him. I'm authentically interested when Harvey from TMZ says that there might be a critical flaw, because maybe he's right. Maybe the fact that it took them so damn long to get this kid in handcuffs, not kid, he's an adult, but I say kid because he's younger than me. Maybe it took so long to get this kid in handcuffs because there's a real genuine problem, and they know that there's going to be a little tiny thing that he'll be able to get away on. I don't know. I don't know what the fundamental answer is here, but I'm curious because you cannot air fryer a young girl in the back of a Tesla Model X, a Tesla Model Y, excuse me. I know that they get defensive about that, without some level of justice being thrown down on your head.
Major breaking news now. Detectives from the Los Angeles Police Department Robbery Homicide Division have arrested singer David Burke.
It's Los Angeles.
For the murder of Celeste Rivas. Burke is being held without bail. The case will be presented to the DA's office on Monday for filing consideration. You may remember, and we've been reporting, Rivas's body was found in the trunk of David's car in September of last year. She was only 14 years old. Again, this breaking news just into our newsroom. We're working to get more information, and we'll continue to follow this story.
We do want to go ahead and bring in now ABC's Alex Stone on the phone to speak more about this case. Alex, you've been following this from the very beginning. What can you tell us as far as this breaking information goes this afternoon?
Well, Mark and Michelle, sources are telling us that this is based off of evidence that the LAPD was able to gather and put together, and now is going to be presenting to the LA County DA for a filing decision on Monday. This was not from any kind of indictment. We know that the case had gone to a grand jury. It was expected that there might be an indictment coming sometime soon. We were thinking in the last couple of months or in the next few weeks. This was not from that. We are told that...
Can we be honest? His music wasn't even that great. I liked Here With Me. Romantic Homicide was not good. Withered is, what is that? I've never even heard of that one. I hear about this guy. I go, he's no Bruno Mars. If Bruno Mars had murdered a young girl, I don't even care. I think most people would be I don't care. He sang Locked Out of Heaven. He sang Grenade. He sang at so many people's weddings on the playlist. I don't care if I'm going to be honest with you. Many people would look at him and they'd actually like him more, probably. They would look at him and they'd say, oh, he can get away with it. And he's strong enough to defend you if somebody comes after you. They'd turn it into a good thing. If Bruno Mars was doing this, I think that many people would be willing to turn a blind eye to it. For some odd reason, Bruno Mars has this magnetic effect to where I feel as though he could kill a young 14-year-old girl, put him in the back of a Tesla, put it in an impound lot, and leave her to pressure cook in there for a few months, and people would just be like, when's the next album, King? And you know what I mean? His Puerto Rican, beautiful, is he Puerto Rican? God, I want to make sure I'm not racist. Bruno Mars, race and ethnicity, because you got to get both of them. Bruno Mars, born Peter Jean Hernandez. What the hell? That is quite a turn of a name. I like Bruno Mars more. Is a mixed ethnicity, a Filipino mother, and a Puerto Rican Jewish father. I knew it. I called it Puerto Rican. Born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii, he often identifies with his multicultural upbringing, bringing together Filipino, Spanish, Puerto Rican, and Jewish heritage. Okay, good for him. Very proud of him. What I'm trying to say is there's a magnetic quality to Bruno Mars that very much makes it so. I think a lot of people would hear about him doing that and they would say, actually, free him. Put him. Can you at least put a recording studio in with his cell? Because we need it. We need him to keep producing.
That this is evidence that they have been compiling going back to when her body was found last September. That now they have reached a point where they believe they have probable cause, and it's gone to the DA.
Now they do.
All right, and so a lot of people wondering, so many things seem to point to him. Why did it take them this long to make the arrest? We know. Listen, I don't know who they have on the case. But this is absolute. This is dastardly police work. You got to think at a certain point that they're working with the killer. Methodical about how they do things, but.
Yeah, it's a good question. One of the things that they were waiting on, Mark, was the cause of death. And there was difficulty reaching that cause of death, not to get too graphic, but her body was in multiple parts. It was in, we know from court documents, 2 different body bags in the front trunk of that Tesla when her body was found. So
bro, I've played many games where you have to it's like you have to put the puzzle back together. You have to, put the pieces back, align them. Or what's that one game every baby plays where it's like you put there's shapes in a thing. There's a square, there's a triangle, there's a circle, all that shit. But it's a timer and then it's a grid of shapes, and then you have to stick the pegs into a fixed hole, and then you are timed, and if you don't put them all in there at a certain time, and I think there's a button that you got to hit, or it detects when you put all the pegs in it, but I don't remember how it works, and then if you don't get them all in at the right time, it pops up, and then it sprays them all up. That, everybody has played a game where you put a picture or a puzzle back together. How hard is it to put together from multiple body bags? You know what a leg looks like. You know what a left leg looks like. You know what a right leg looks like. You know if you are an experienced mortician or coroner, as I assume they had look at the body. You know what pieces are affixed where. I don't know exactly what condition her. Maybe you didn't find any teeth in her skull. Maybe you didn't find. Maybe this person was smart and cut all the tips of her fingers off. We still don't have I don't know if we just, I don't know. I have no idea if this is what the killer did at all. We're saying that we're dealing with a situation where they're not being fully transparent. I don't even think we have a full autopsy report on how she died.
Difficult for the medical examiner to determine the cause of death. So they had to prove or be able to show to the DA that she was murdered, that it wasn't something else where, let's say that she overdosed and then somebody freaked out and put her body in that trunk. They have to be able to prove
Whoa. ODing does not make you split apart. ODing does not make you coincidentally fall into a bunch of garbage bags, and then someone goes, "Oh, I got to take out the garbage," and then they go, "Oh, I have to put these in the back of my car because for some reason the garbage is not outside my house. Oh, I have to go somewhere and leave my car to the point where it gets impounded for a few months." Like, there's so many things that you have to believe at that point to where there's not any foul play involved. What are we doing?
And it was murder. They now believe that they can do that.
All right.
Yeah, we also know, David, as many entertainers do, had an entourage of people around him at times. I know some other individuals have been considered as drivers of this vehicle or either around. Any information on possibly how this could impact other people that David was around that also may have been around Celeste Rivas?
Michelle, we don't know yet, and if there are any other arrests that are going to be coming in this case. We know that there were a number of witnesses who came and testified in front of the grand jury, again, that this was not an indictment, that this is probable cause that the LAPD put together and moved forward on. But
industry that has so
family members
many
of his
looking for
What?
Subpoenaed to go in front of the grand jury. So if there are other arrests that could be coming, we don't know. But as of right now, he is the only one that we know of under arrest.
Singer David under arrest. Alex Stone.
Singer David under arrest. Harvey says from TMZ, gentlemen, in the Epstein files, by the way, Harvey Levin, is that his last name? I don't remember. He says there is a major problem in the prosecution's case against David that could change everything. I've actually not heard his case that he presents yet. Let's hear it together.
I think there is a problem in the prosecution's case.
What do you think the problem is?
Let me explain. The grand jury has been hearing this case for 5 months, since November. Beth Silverman, the DA, has been presenting witness after witness after witness to this grand jury to get a grand jury indictment. We know that there has been a dogfight between the DA's office and the medical examiner over cause of death that we are told and have been told for a long time after Celeste Rivas' body was found that they were having a very difficult time establishing cause of death. And that is an issue here. But then the question, if Beth Silverman was before that grand jury for 5 months,
I would love to really ask, what does cause of death have to do with anything in this case when you find the victim split into parts in different bags in the back of a car? To me, as any common sense juror or judge, anyone in the judicial system, I go, well, yeah, let's put out a warrant, and if you have a suspect that you believe could be involved in foul play, or hey, maybe find the guy who owned the car and arrest him. You know that's what I would issue as the judge. I'm just gonna say it. I don't know exactly what's going on here. I don't know who's getting paid off, but there's something bigger going on here. I think we're going to see something on levels that we never thought possible until O.J. Simpson broke the mold. Can I go out on a limb with you guys? I'm going to be so honest with you guys. I think we are seeing the O.J. Simpson of our time. Hear me out, ladies and gentlemen. David is going to have a team of lawyers that are going to be generational. He's going to, have a Robert Shapiro type on. He's going to have a Cochran type. He's going to have all that he needs. Who was O.J. Simpson's team? Lawyer team. There we go. Kardashians. The Dream Team, led primarily by Johnny Cochran, Robert Shapiro. The team included legal heavyweights like F. Lee Bailey, Alan Dershowitz, Robert Kardashian, Barry Scheck, and Peter Neufeld. Folks, I think David is going to pull together a generational crew. Get the blonde bitch who defended the Menendez bro. Actually, no, don't get her. She doesn't know how to win. She's never won anything in her life. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to need to assemble a crew. Because if David pulls a generational run, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to email his publicist. I'm going to do as best I can to get him on this show because, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear the words of an innocent man. Especially, I will be the first to try to help him rehabilitate his career. I'm putting this offer out right here, right now, David. If you want a generational representative for your PR, for your team, everything like that, your Brain on Air is here. Your Brain on Air is now.
With the end goal of getting an indictment for murder. Why did the police arrest David yesterday and then say they're going to present the case to the DA on Monday so that the DA can determine whether to file formal charges or not? That makes absolutely no sense because it was the grand jury that was supposed to indict here and not the DA just charging him. If the DA wanted to charge, what was the point of a grand jury?
I guess.
So what happened at the grand jury so that they either didn't indict him, that she never asked the grand jury to actually indict, or did the grand jury issue a no bill, which means they rejected the case. I don't think they would have rejected the case outright, although I don't know. But the only other option is that Beth Silverman never asked for a formal indictment after presenting evidence for 5 months before the grand jury. So, and the police say, we're going to present the case to the DA? The DA's had the case for 5 months. What do you mean present the case? That makes no sense when you listen to what the police are saying. The DA has had this case. They're the ones that made the decision to go to the grand jury. So why is the DA doing this and deciding apparently to file charges rather than to get an indictment?
I have no idea, Harvey. You might be right. Let's look at this clip. We have chaos as singer David is taken into custody for the murder charges, with police shouting orders while K-9 units close in on him. We have direct footage from TMZ. I'll put this in the description.
It's going to obscure my view from the gate.
So this is filmed from like a window with some like mesh in front of it, so it looks like shit. I guess you can see cops, a bit of the gate. Yeah, you don't really see much. You see trees rustling. You can hear it a bit. Come on, open the gate. Yeah, guys. Stereotypes of a young black male misunderstood, and it's still all good. And if you don't know, now you know. Now we have to head on to the rapid fire section of today's headlines. Ladies and gentlemen, we have today's headlines. We cannot dedicate 2 to 3 paragraphs to every, news story that there is. So we're just going to go ahead and skip through a bunch of them that you need to know about to keep your media diet healthy. Spirit Airlines, folks, if you are real low, as they like to call it, in the air class regime. Maybe you're familiar with this airline a lot. Spirit Airlines could go out of business overnight. What is this? Essentially stranding flyers who have tickets already. Here is what we know.
So what happens if the reports are true and Spirit is forced to liquidate, essentially shutting down? Historically, when that has happened, airlines essentially go away overnight. So there is the potential, if Spirit is told to cease operations and liquidate, flyers will be stranded. Other airlines already have plans in place to offer what they call rescue fares, discounted one-way fares to get people home. But there is the potential, if a worst-case scenario plays out in the coming days, the flyers will want to have at least some idea of a backup plan. Another way to get home if they need it. Spirit says it's business as usual. They're continuing to operate their flights. They're continuing to accept bookings, new reservations. But we understand some of the bankrupt airlines' creditors are starting to have doubts about the long-term future of Spirit, their ability to get back to profitability, especially because of this surge in fuel prices that have nearly doubled since the start of the year. It wasn't always this way for Spirit. They used to be a cash cow, and then the pandemic came. Coming out of the pandemic, flyer tastes changed, and they saw more competition from the big airlines launching those basic economy fares that basically stole customers from the ultra-low-cost carriers like Spirit. They've also been stung by engine issues on their Airbus airplanes and that failed merger with JetBlue. All of this has come together to make an airline that's been in bankruptcy twice in under a year, is struggling to find a way forward, and now may be running out of...
JetBlue ingesting Spirit Airlines would be like having a tapeworm, on purpose, eating it. It just wouldn't be a great idea for them. Let the parasite die is my advice personally. Folks, we have footage. A prayer delivered by U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Listen, it appeared to paraphrase a speech from the film Pulp Fiction. Rather than the actual scripture, he believes that Ezekiel 25:17. Hey, shush, I wasn't done explaining it. 25:17. He believes that was literal. He believes that the Quentin Tarantino dressed it up. He got it from an older film, which had it as a screen run at a certain point, and then it was a misquote of the original Leviticus. It was actually pretty, loose, and then Quentin Tarantino saw that version and then made an even looser version, and then that is the version that ended up in Pulp Fiction. It has nothing to do with the actual biblical Ezekiel 25:17. And Pete Hegseth appeared to not, I mean, he's a great Christian. He's a good Christian enough to have a Crusader tattoo that has been routinely associated with white nationalists tattooed on his chest, but he does not know the Bible enough to apparently know that this is a joke speech, or at least a misquotation.
So the prayer is Ceasefire 25:17, and it reads, and pray with me, please. The path of the downed aviator is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who, in the name of camaraderie and duty, shepherd the lost through the valley of darkness.
Hell yeah.
For he is truly his brother's keeper.
And the finder of lost children.
And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to capture and destroy my brother. And you will know my call sign is Sandy 1 when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
I love Pete Hegg. I love retards. I love Christians. I'm sorry. They're just the level of the level of genuineness that they can ascribe to things that are so benign, so nothing. These words are things that you read on Instagram all the time now. And I'm going to be honest with you, the Bible, when it comes to a lot of other scriptures, sure, you can learn a lot from it. It is sort of groundwork for a lot of understanding Western civilization, sure. But it's also silly in a lot of ways. Folks, who is your favorite Supreme Court justice? Mine is Clarence Thomas. However, we have some issues that there's some beef between the justices. What do we got? Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas on Wednesday delivered a televised broadside against progressivism and a political philosophy he described as an existential threat to America and the principles that founded it 250 years ago. His comments come as the Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor issued a rare public apology over what she called inappropriate remarks aimed at Justice Brett Kavanaugh for his vote last year to allow aggressive Trump administration immigration enforcement tactics, which critics had called. Oh God, sorry, I thought I heard somebody outside. Which critics had called racial profiling. Let's hear a little bit about this beef on the bench.
This morning, multiple Supreme Court justices are facing scrutiny for rare public criticism of their colleagues.
The justices need to return to acting like the final court of review.
Speaking at Yale this week, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson slamming the conservative justices, claiming they've used emergency orders to benefit the Trump administration.
The court's stay decisions can, at times, come across utterly irrational.
Jackson claiming the
literally
justices
irrational
are too frequently on issues that could be handled by lower courts, such as trans people in the military and the protected status of immigrant groups.
There is value.
Can I be really honest with you? Do trans people seem like a group of people that are dying to join the military? Do they come across to you as a group of individuals who are like, I'm ready to die for this country?
In avoiding having the court continually touching the third rail of every divisive policy issue in American life.
It comes as Justice Sonia Sotomayor
isn't that their job to cover the big issues of American life? What are you talking about?
Apologizes for comments she made about Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who was part of a majority decision on immigration enforcement. Sotomayor saying, "This is from a man whose parents were professionals and probably doesn't really know any person who works by the hour." Now, she's apologizing, saying, "I made remarks that were inappropriate. I regret my hurtful comments. I have apologized to my colleague." Conservative Justice Clarence Thomas also speaking out publicly, not naming names but speaking broadly, telling an audience at the University of Texas that the progressive movement is a threat to America.
Progressivism seeks to replace the basic premises of the Declaration of Independence.
What I love about Clarence Thomas is this man, like, wants slavery back. I'm joking, of course, but he's, like, the one person that's on the verge of, like, oh, interracial marriage might not be one worth keeping, and he's married to a white lady. Like, he's such a... He's a confounding mystery of a man, and that's why I love him so much. He's my favorite currently sitting justice. He has been for a while. Pubes in Coke cans and Anita Hill was such an iconic era for a lot of people. They probably remember his confirmation, all this shit. He was just a one for the ages, and a lot of people will never stack up to the he's taken yachts for bribery. He's taken, like, birthday trips and shit like that for bribery. He is just a fucking icon who's out there bawling and people hate it.
And hence our form of government.
Billionaire Harlan Crow was in the audience.
It is so special to have our dear friends Harlan and Kathy Crow join us today.
Hell
it's
yeah.
the first time Thomas has publicly acknowledged Crow since the scandal involving gifts and undisclosed luxury vacations he took with the billionaire. Thomas later amended his disclosure forms.
Listen, I think that Clarence Thomas, he's a misunderstood pariah who will be, a lot of people will come back one day to realize that he was the best of us. He was an icon that a lot of people unfortunately didn't appreciate of his time, and that's okay. We will come back to it eventually. You know what I mean? History will look back on him as a Julius Caesarian figure, a figure that was ahead of his time per se. Folks, Donald Trump and his administration are finally looking into the series of deaths, and it looks like they are, the disappearances also involving American scientists tied to sensitive research. President Donald Trump calling it serious stuff. Folks, anyone who thinks we're going to get any level of clarification over this stuff from the White House, what are you talking about?
Something pretty unusual is unfolding right now, and even Donald Trump is calling it serious stuff. The White House is looking into a growing list of American scientists who have either died or gone missing over the past few years, many of them tied to advanced research, including space, nuclear, and defense programs. We're talking about NASA researchers, military officials, and experts connected to sensitive government work. At least 10 cases have raised concerns ranging from unexplained deaths to sudden disappearances. So far, authorities have not established any clear connection between them, but the pattern has been enough to get the White House's attention.
Based on what you've been briefed, what do you think is happening here, and do you think that this is connected or totally random?
Well, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. I just left a meeting on that subject, so pretty serious stuff, but we're going to be hopefully, I don't know, coincidence, whatever you want to call it, but some of them were very important people. And we're going to look at it over the next short period.
The issue has gone from online speculation to something now being acknowledged inside the White House. Some of the cases include a NASA scientist whose cause of death was never publicly disclosed, and others who vanished without a trace. There have also been calls from lawmakers for the FBI to step in and investigate what's going on. Still, no confirmed evidence of foul play, no confirmed link between the cases, but a growing list of unanswered questions. Now, a federal probe could determine whether this is coincidence or something more nefarious.
You know what could be very fun? Maybe they're kidnapping our smartest minds, taking them to some far-off land, and making them work on their sciences. Maybe that's a fun, twist that we could throw into this. Our final headline will cover. Steve Bannon said Thursday that President Trump should run for a third term. We've been hearing about this, but he is making it clearer and clearer every day that he is in service of this. He's in support of this. He's maybe the only major public figure that's coming forward that is kind of making his new thing that I want this 80-something-year-old man to lead our nation for the next however many 6 years. You know what I mean? This seems a little out there, I'm going to be honest with you. Let's hear it from his mouth.
The final question is, J.D. Vance heir to the MAGA movement? Is he the heir apparent?
I don't think MAGA has President Trump. And as you know, I'm a huge advocate of President Trump's third term. So right now I think...
You're not just saying that to mess with J.D.?
No, not at all. I think you guys all paid your taxes here yesterday. Are there anyone in the room who would not vote for President Trump and what he's trying to do with this economy? President Trump is...
I can't imagine.
Yeah, but there's other people.
So we'll have to pick that up.
There's other people that are looking to do things with taxes that you'll like. Why does it need to be this guy? Listen, I know he's trying to be fun. I know this is a goof, a meme, a thing that where a lot of, it's like he's meant to get attention on this platform. I get it. I understand that. I'm saying, like, what is MAGA without Trump? MAGA dies. MAGA as a concept is not it's not a real thing. It is the central idea is put America before anything else, which inherently a lot of people agree with, which is why MAGA really only was defined by Donald Trump. A lot of people that are Democrats love this country. Not all of them, admittedly. More Democrats probably dislike this country than Republicans do. This is just via the statistical average, even though Republicans don't like what America stands for generally on average. Neither do Democrats when it comes to their radical sides. But when it comes to common sense minded Americans, right or left, they just want things, and right or left are not really core ideas. I'm going to be honest with you. It's more so just sort of a thing that's meant to position you against one another. It's meant to create a divide where there is none. But what I'm trying to say here is that I don't know. I believe in people, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to be negative. It's Friday, and Trump announced a ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel. That's our final story. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get into it real quick. I'm going to fire through it so that you can get to the rest of your day and your weekend. Go. We have a tentative peace settling over the Levant this morning as a 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon officially went into effect at midnight local time. The deal announced by President Trump on Thursday follows a week of intensive diplomacy aimed at decoupling the violence in Lebanon from the border conflict with Iran. In a celebratory post, the president claimed that this historic step towards his goal of ending regional hostilities, even inviting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Lebanese President Joseph Aoun, A-O-U-N, to Washington for their first face-to-face summit in over 40 years. This is bound to not last long. I'm going to be honest with you guys. As we know, Israel is always want to be starting something. You got to be starting something. I'm just going to be honest with you. They got to be starting something always. This is going to be... They need up to that Lebanese river. They want that territory. They're going to claim it at some point. They're going to start something. This is temporary. This is not going to last long. Despite the silence of the guns, terms of this truce are incredibly fragile, like I've said. Prime Minister Netanyahu has made it clear that while offensive operations have paused, Israeli officers and forces remain stationed at the 10-kilometer security buffer zone inside southern Lebanon. Israel also has reserved the right to act in self-defense against any imminent threats, as a caveat that has already drawn sharp criticism from Hezbollah. Like, we give a shit what they think, though. Like, I'm being honest with you, we shouldn't give a shit what Hezbollah thinks. The militant group, which was not a formal signatory to the agreement, it is mentioned, has issued its own warning, stating that their rights to resist remains intact as long as Israeli troops occupy Lebanese soil. On the ground, the impact was immediate. As the sun rose this Friday, thousands of displaced residents began a cautious journey southward back towards their homes, ignoring warnings from the Lebanese army about the risk of unexploded ordnance and the potential for sudden resumption of fighting. And not a great plan, guys. In the capital, the mood is a mix of relief and skepticism. The general celebratory gunfire that rang out at midnight suggests the desperate desire for peace. Many fear that the 10-day window is merely a tactical pause for both sides to regroup before the April 27th deadline. Yeah, in a similar way that the situation is going down with... what's it called? Well, the Strait of Hormuz being open right now. This is just an opportunity for both sides to re-aim their missiles at each other. Let's see this last bit.
The fighting continued to the last moments. Israel firing at what it called Hezbollah targets in Lebanon and destroying the last bridge connecting the north and south of the country. And Hezbollah launching rockets into northern Israel. Both sides getting in last licks. Then, at midnight local time, the 10-day ceasefire went into effect. President Trump announced the breakthrough negotiated with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and Lebanese President Joseph Aoun.
We have a ceasefire with Israel and Lebanon, and that'll be great.
And that'll be great.
Coming to the White House over the next 4 or 5 days.
Shalom
Netanyahu tonight called it historic, but added that thousands of Israeli troops will remain in Lebanon until Hezbollah is disarmed, increasing the risk of renewed fighting. A Hezbollah official tonight said the group will abide by the ceasefire, but added it has the right to resist Israel's presence in the country. The ceasefire, if it holds, could help secure a lasting peace deal with Iran, open the Strait of Hormuz, and lower gas prices.
Wouldn't that be
Iran
nice?
has insisted that any peace deal with Washington also include a truce in Lebanon. To pressure Iran, the U.S. military is enforcing a partial naval blockade, so far stopping more than a dozen ships from docking in or departing from Iranian ports. President Trump said a new round of negotiations with Iran could take place this weekend, expected once again to be held in Pakistan.
We're close to a deal. We're getting along very well with the new Iranian leaders. It really is its regime change.
All right, Richard joins us now live. Richard, that ceasefire just began. Do we know how people in Lebanon are reacting tonight?
We're seeing it immediately. There are celebrations right now in Beirut, and thousands of people are getting in their cars, even though it's in the middle of the night there, and they are heading south to see what, if anything, is left of their homes.
We thank you for watching.
Well, very fun. I hope that they find something. You know, I don't want your hovel wherever you live to be completely leveled, ladies and gents. I wanted to end with a little bit of good news. Hopefully this thing lasts. Hopefully we can get peace. Hopefully you can attain some peace over this weekend before life demands what it always does of you, your attention and presence. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening to the show. I had a wonderful time gathering these stories for you. I hope you had a wonderful time listening to them. I have been Ollie Vogt Larson with your brain on air. Thank you so very much for listening. We have, the weekend off, but we'll be back at it again Monday to bring you whatever news happen to drop. We'll sift through it, bring you the best, juiciest, golden nuggets that we have to bring, and it'll be a just delicious charcuterie board of news for you Monday. But that'll be then. Subscribe if you want to be there for it. Ring the bell for notifications, like if you liked it. In the meantime, like I said, Ollie Vogt Larson with your brain on air. Thank you so very much for listening. Have a great weekend, and bye-bye.